All right, everyone, buckle up because today on the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast, we're sitting down with a guy whose journey hits hard on every level of life. From childhood beginnings in kindergarten wrestling to becoming one of Pennsylvania's most exciting, battle-tested competitors, Josh Kindig grew up on the heart of PA wrestling, surrounded by names like Jordan Oliver, the Alton brothers, the Peppermins, and some of the toughest youth tournaments in the country, where he learned early on that adversity, second place finishes, and relentless pressure would shape him into the dog he became. He's a 5-time Fargo Finalist who wrestled through bronchitis, mono, insane weight cuts, and still found a way to win when it mattered. He carried that same grit to Oklahoma State, surviving brutal room battles, adjusting his style, learning from legends, and eventually becoming an NCAA finalist even while fighting through major injuries that most people never knew about. But what makes Josh special is how those experiences now fuel his passion as a coach, teaching kids how to believe in themselves, fight back when things get hard, and understand the mental side of wrestling that separates good from great. Today, you're not just hearing about wrestling, you're hearing a story of resilience, accountability, brotherhood, and the art of overcoming everything stacked against you. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Josh Kindig. Let's dive in. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. And today I am super excited finally get to have him on the podcast, the one and only Josh Kindig. What's up, Josh? Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad we made it, man. You always find a way. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely. So for those watching, I reached out to Josh, I think about a month ago because I had just done the Colin Palmer interview. And so just so everyone's aware, Josh is a nationally decorated wrestler, and I'll let him tell his story. And we're around the same age, and I've known who Josh is since my high school days. And one of the early matches I remember you wrestling was against your boy Jo Jordan Oliver. And I remember watching some of your events at Fargo, and actually I saw you and Jordan wrestling in the I think it was the cadet finals. And yeah, I was just blown away, just your how you wrestled. And even though you didn't get the I guess the desired result, right? I mean, you still held your head high like a champ, and it's paid forward because you won a couple state champs. I know that, and then you had a really good career at Oklahoma State. But yeah, man, we're super excited to have you. So let's just kind of go back in time, right? Because this platform is ideally for not just athletes and coaches, but just human beings. And I know you have a great story. So let's start with the wrestling pedigree, though, Josh. So take us back. When did you first start wrestling, and what was that like back then as a kid?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I started back in kindergarten,
Yeah.
and so my dad wrestled in high school, and he was big into karate. He was in the World Karate Hall of Fame, um, and he put me out there. And I mean, as a kid, I really didn't know. It's different than it is today,
Yeah.
right? Like kids they work hard and stuff at freaking 4 years old. Um, right. So I got into wrestling in kindergarten. I looked at the lights more than I saw my parents. And, uh, you know, I think it was around third grade where I can't really tell you what brought it about, but I got tired of losing.
Yeah.
And you get a little taste of success, and then you go and you get tacked or pinned by somebody. You're like, shit. And so I said to and I mean it's kind of cool thinking about it because I don't know too many people that maybe have gone this route or have done this. But in third grade, like I said to my dad, hey, I want I want to be successful. And he said to me, hey, we're gonna work hard. Um, I'm gonna push him more because he never pushed me. It was nothing crazy. And at at the time, like I made a choice to be pushed rather than forced to, and that's a big difference. When you commit to something and you know you take responsibility. And in third grade is I guess I was in as about 8 years old or so.
Yeah.
Um, but so I ended up beating, I think it was Seth Chisoli in the semis. the PA states and the little kids, and beat them in overtime. Made the finals, ended up losing in the finals. Jimmy Shepcock, and that was overtime too. But I'm just a man of second places.
And
But
just for
no,
yeah, just real quick, bro. So just for anyone watching, if you don't understand the caliber of Pennsylvania wrestling, PA was and is still one of the powerhouse states. I mean, you look at all the way from the youth level to man, even the international level. I mean, you look at Penn State and what they've done, and even before that, you look at what that grassroots level can do. And I mean, I started wrestling in high school, so I'm definitely a late bloomer. But and I just remember hearing stories of like, yeah, man, like if you want good wrestling, go to PA. And I'm from Delaware, so it's only a state up, and I didn't realize how amazing wrestling was, not at such like not the college level, but I'm talking about like your age level, so
yeah, these little youth kids scrap, man. You know?
now let me ask you this. I know you said you started wrestling at a fairly young age and you got used to seeing the lights like you joked about. Was
It's the truth.
Yeah, yeah. Did you feel like you excuse me, like did you feel like were you forced to wrestle? Was that something that you really wanted to
No,
do as a kid or
no, I found a love for it.
nice? And I think
Yeah,
that's the difference, right? Because so
yeah,
many people get burnt out.
yeah. I mean, for me, like you gotta love to be in the practice room. Now, being a coach, which I think I had my success, but uh, being a coach, I feel like I'm on a whole nother level, just because I'm able to interact and build those relationships and like dig into because I mean, most of it's mental, um,
Yeah.
and that's a big part of it for these kids to believe, right? And not to believe like you're being forced to do it. So I believe that I got to do this, but believe in themselves, believe in the hard work, and believe that you will deal with adversity, and it's all about overcoming. And man, that feels you know better than anything else. So yeah.
No, like I love it. And I wanted to ask, I'm curious. So when you started at a young age, when you like when did you know like you were serious about wrestling? Like was it a certain tournament? Was at a certain age? Like maybe age 10 when you're like, all right, like I can actually be good at this because time happens fast, right? You have your youth, middle school, high school, and then by the time you get to high school, it's like, all right, either I'm gonna go to college and wrestle or I'm just gonna do other, aspirations. But Josh, like, do you remember what age you were? Like maybe it was your parents or you just had that epiphany, you said, all right, like I can do this.
So back in the day, they used to have the like top 100 tournaments.
Yeah, yep.
And nah, I remember my mom, like she really didn't get involved, but like she wrote everything down. Like she had a little notebook, and we started at 100, and we, and I didn't even know they were doing this,
Mm,
right? And my dad, just however he did it, he killed it. And when it came to these tournaments, I started winning some things, even though I might have taken losses and stuff. And it got to the point where I was like top 10 tournaments. And, so I would say, what grade was I? Maybe the big one that I first did, obviously PA States, um, and that was third grade where I ended up taking second. And then I kind of started blooming from there. But
yeah.
he ended up, we went out to Tulsa Nationals. And I really think that the kind of the big thing was with me that I always dealt with adversity. Like even like when we went out to Tulsa, I had bronchitis.
Dang.
And we didn't focus on, hey, you gotta go wrestle your best because you're sick. Like that wasn't the focus at all. It was like, hey, go do what you know how to do. Nobody cares that you're sick. And and it wasn't like I didn't feel anxiety or anything, if you will. Like as a kid, you're not going to feel that, but I didn't feel pressured,
Yeah.
and I went out and won the tournament sick. And then the following year, I won PA states again with mono.
Mm.
So after every match, we go back to the hotel. I'd be throwing up shit, and I'd go and wrestle the next match and find a way to win.
Yeah.
It wasn't always pretty, but it did. You're able to do that, like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that I remember the first time I cut weight, which was 5 pounds, but I definitely cut like a motherfucker. Um, but yeah, dude, there's a few guys, I won't mention names, but
No, you good.
see it, what I'm talking about. Um, there's a few guys that just are horrible at it. You know, if I gotta walk away for a minute, they're gonna jump out the sauna. And for me, after being through cutting weight and everything, um, you know, I found the joy in like being bigger and fast and tougher than all these guys, right? So I used it as, as you know, um, way to better.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the big one was schoolboy duels. I think I was in fifth or sixth grade. I did cut 5 pounds, and I remember I was sitting there with James Fleming actually, and my mouth is dry, and I felt, but we had each other.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. Some of these guys, the parents, like, they keep them secluded and like, hey, you got to do this, stay focused and everything. It's about like enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care how much weight I had to cut. When we were competing, like, I was with my friends, we were all fucking winning, just being dogs, and everything that was tough didn't seem so tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because you're going through it together. And I remember being in high school, man, and for those watching wrestling, it's easy to look when you're watching it either in person or like YouTube or Instagram, right? You see like a little clip come up, but bro, it's the hardest sport in my opinion, and aside from the physical part, cutting weight, if you've never done that, because everyone's body's different. And you said something that was pretty profound, your friend, how you guys were going through it together. And that's one of the things that I remember in high school was just that brotherhood, right? Just like this sucks right now, especially kind of late in the season when your body's all banged up, and just knowing that you're not alone in that sense. And I know you got a chance to experience that time and time again, and even in your college experience, which we'll talk about. So, no, that's cool, man. So, Josh, what I'm hearing is, when you look at your success on paper, not just myself, but like anyone that, looks you up, let's say they see like state champ, Oklahoma State, all this quote unquote success. But man, like I love how you said like you didn't win essentially all the time. You almost got used to getting second. I think those moments is what shaped you into the wrestler you are. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but because if you're always used to winning, there's really no challenge, I feel. But when you're constantly getting second and third, you're like, all right, there's still something I have to achieve here, whether it's a personal gain or for the team. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I mean, it's not even the sense of like I don't know anybody that just is always wins unless you go to the rinky dink tournaments.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you gotta look to challenge yourself, because you know at the end of the day, refs making bad calls, you don't feel well, your mind's not there, you're gonna take losses. And I think what's most important is just to about loving the sport and loving the competition and putting points on the board, and getting out there and scrapping, and just the relationships that you build, and just everything's in, I don't want to say, like, microseconds out there.
Yeah. No,
And what I love about coaching is that I'm able to, like, see this stuff quick and say the right things. you
mhm.
know it's not like, get on, watch for the cradle. No, bro, it's already happening. Silly. But just how you can make adjustments and improve, and in those 6 minutes, or shit with the little guys, 3 minutes.
I know, right?
It's just it's exhilarating, it's fun. And I think it truly comes down to loving what you do.
Yeah.
When hopefully I have a boy when I have a kid. But if he wrestles, I mean, it's freaking tough. But I kind of take it from that approach. Like, it's not about winning or losing, even though it is.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say it is or isn't, but
Let's be
just
real. Yeah.
yeah, because nobody likes to lose. But how do you handle it? Look at it like this: when you win, I'm gonna have something to say that you can do better. When you lose, I'm gonna say that you could do something better, and I might even point out things that you did well, right? And it's a process. It just never ends, and that's the thank God for NIL and everything else now. But at the time, it's like you look at it like, why the fuck am I doing this? And I don't even get money out of it,
I
right?
know, right?
It's the only thing there is to it.
Yeah.
But
Man, growing up, right? So I know PA is a powerhouse, and you're just mentioning some of your teammates and folks that were there with you through the process. Something that I always like to kind of hear stories about. You listen to, I mean, I had Tony Ramos on, Colin Palmer, and they were talking about as they were growing up, some of the names or some of the competitors that you would probably see at the more bigger tournaments, like you said, not these rinky-dinky ones. But do you, because you're kind of in the same like generation era as those guys mentioned, but when you were going to these I'm sorry, these bigger tournaments,
even the local ones,
yeah, local ones, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what like what names do you remember like who was big at that time like around your age or people that you were gunning for?
Ryan Kemmer.
Okay.
So I actually wrestled Zach, his older brother, and
Oh, the Kemmer
NCAA.
brothers. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Um, but no, I would see Ryan, and they're crazy dads, but his dad was crazy, and
I hear all wrestling dads are a little crazy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. My dad is a little bit different, but
Yeah.
um, you know, it was just we would see each other at these local tournaments, and it was just a scrap, right? And regardless of who won or lost, but it was just fun, So that kind of uh, what do I want to say? Not pressure, but like the nerves and stuff. Like instead of like fearing it, I at a young age became used to looking forward to it because it was just gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, what am I gonna be scared and just lose every time? So you learn to compete. Um, and him, the Alton brothers,
Yep. Dylan and
we
Andrew.
wrestled each
Yep.
other all the time. We were roommates and we wrestled each other in the finals of Fargo multiple times. But I mean, Jordan wrestled. I had 12 losses in high school or so, and I mean, 6 of them were to him. I mean, I could have went a weight down and won states, but instead for the team, my teammate, he ended up winning, and I mean, we'll be brothers off the mat, and on the mat we're still brothers, but
Yeah.
it's competition.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the two names that come up that I always and then the Peppelmans.
Yep. Marshall Pepperman. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Marshall and yeah, man, like and then Tony Delago, like the Central Dolphin guys just
Mhm.
hit the fucking cement mixer all the time. And it doesn't matter how technically good I am, they would hit it and I get pinned. And it's so that's kind of like an eye opener where like, hey, what's my dad gonna say to me? Hey, you're there. You gotta figure out how to, you know, stop this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's get better, but like, learn how to fight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What were some of your big matches, let's say in high school? Because I remember, like I said, I know you had a couple with JO, and you mentioned that you wrestled Palmer in a Tex. I think it was at the Tournament of Champions,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
kind of transcending now into your high school because I want to talk about Fargo here in a sec. But like, what were some of your big high school matches that you can recall? And like, you don't got to list them all, but what were some that are memorable to you that were like, yeah, like even if you won, even if you lost, like that kind of stand out to you, man?
Yeah, the most memorable ones were my freshman year, and most of them I lost
Yeah.
because I like to attack and score points, and kind of the only way, I don't know if they thought of it this way or how they're game plan if there was one, but I got frustrated when guys backed up, was on a knee, you know, kind of posting off, and then I'd expose myself where I wouldn't be able to get out on bottom if I couldn't get the takedown.
Hmm.
So I do know Chris Sheets,
Yep.
high
Yep.
school state's first match, freshman year, 4 cautions.
He got 4 cautions.
I did,
Oh, you did?
yeah, in a row, like just silly. And then I wrestled my freshman year, Nico Cortez at Powerade, lost in like quadruple overtime. And
Hmm.
then I wrestled him again at States in the consies, quadruple overtime, lost again. So those are very like memorable. Like, hey, I gotta stay composed, and you can win matches without being. I mean, look at it like this: Jason Churches, he won NCAAs when I took second,
Yeah.
and every single match was like overtime or double overtime, right? You find, I mean, my teammate Chris Berry, the
Yep.
one year, just every match it was ugly, but he found a way to win,
Yep.
right? And you know, you can say sometimes that stuff will come to bite you in the butt, but are we looking to get bitten in the butt, or just go wrestle,
Yeah.
and um I that's where I loved it, right? I loved who I am. I love how fans like it. I'll put you on your fucking head, score a lot of points. I might get thrown on my back doing some dumb shit, but I'm gonna go and compete. um
Yeah. Man,
once
like you're
I love
mentioning, yeah, yeah, for sure. And I can tell, like you're mentioning names I haven't heard in a minute, man. The Alton brothers,
right,
the
yeah,
Peppelmans, people
uh,
like, as they say, like history kind of forgets, but yeah, I mean, they were huge back then, and they definitely shaped you into you are now. I remember listening to I think it was David Taylor. He was explaining how like, so he was from Ohio. Actually, he's from Wyoming, I think, then came to Ohio, but he was talking about how like Ohio wrestling and PA, even though they're um states next to each other, the wrestling is different. Meaning, I think, and I could be wrong, so please help me out. But PA wrestlers are known for their leg riding, I think, or maybe it's Ohio or vice versa. But he was saying like if you go from like across the line, while wrestling's the same, there is a different mindset with PA wrestlers. Let's say against Ohio wrestlers. And can you expound on that? Because I know you're from PA. What is PA wrestling known for?
I would say on their feet, being offensive, um, and more so, I would say like breaking guys.
Mm,
How do you do that? I mean, and again, like this is stuff that I try and like coach when I in practice and stuff. It's like you get a takedown, you stand back up, you get another takedown, or I want you to feel it in the room when you're going and when you're not going, right? So let's get a takedown. Bottom guy stand up, mat return him, and then stuff his head in the mat and make him work back up.
yeah.
Right. So when you get your opportunity and then they get their opportunity when it's their turn. Right. So kind of just that relentless, just, it breaks guys
Yeah.
on their feet, definitely. But I would say PA's more so tilts, real through tilts,
Mm.
look for a tilt. All right. It's not there. Cut them. You know,
Do it again.
but just don't let them go. Like make them work up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always say to my guys, like it's a physical contact sport, right? So if you just let somebody go, it gives them the opportunity to turn and face you, right? But make them kind of get a little frustrated,
Yeah, make
open
them
them up,
work for it. Yeah.
yeah, and make the ref say something if that's the case, because they'll say something before they call unintentional or whatever it is. But it's a mindset out there,
Yeah.
and we put points on the board in PA.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, I remember I think some of back in high school, some of my best or not best, but some of my favorite PA wrestlers to watch, definitely Jordan Oliver, yourself. Um Maybe I'm missing some people, but you guys definitely stood out. I think because you guys were like relatively smaller in weight classes, so I could definitely
But
I could relate to you guys. In Delaware, we had a couple powerhouse names. We had Alex Mead, who I know that
yeah,
you know, of course, and man, his speed was ridiculous. like, talk about cut him. He was like take down, let him up, take down, let him up.
Yeah, he was always fun to watch. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So now let's talk about Fargo, right? So we have folk style, which is the high school, college type wrestling, and of course middle school. But now let's talk about the freestyle. So, did you ever have, was it hard for you to kind of go between different styles? Like you have folk style during the in season, but during the off season, when you would do freestyle, did you do Greco as well? Like how was that
Yeah.
transition like? Like
Yeah, no, I just again you know,
it's just wrestling.
regardless, sometimes I may not look that smart, but I'm very intelligent. At least when it comes to wrestling. So I think I started freestyle in 5th grade. Like we went out and it was fun. Um, I mean, there was one tournament because they didn't have girls wrestling back then. I wrestled Helen Morales.
Oh wow.
Attacked her.
Just for the
But
record, guys. Just for the
yeah, no, but I mean that's why she's a dog. Like, because you go out there and you scratch. She was wrestling me, the Altons. These go out and compete.
Mhm.
But I started freestyle then, and it was laid back, right? Some parents nowadays they're like, yeah, it's freestyle season. Just go have fun. When you get on the mat and the dad steps in the corner, they ain't. Yeah, it's get crazy again.
Yeah.
Um, and I've witnessed it. And but for me, like my dad didn't coach a whole lot. He just sat there and he watched. And he actually when I got a five, you get $5.
Mm.
So you know. I was always trying to put dudes on their head from any position.
'Cause it adds up.
Yeah. But no, that's why I did freestyle Greco. So you learn how to use your hips, throwing, just body awareness, everything. It was great. And, if I had to choose favorite out of all of them, it would be freestyle.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, man, back in the day, well, Fargo was a little bit different. I mean, we started out going to, funny story. When I was a schoolboy, I think Schoolboy Nationals was in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We went, and it was the first day, and I get up and I couldn't find my dad.
Mm.
So I'm like, what the fuck is this guy at? So I had to go weigh in, and I called him, and he's like, "What's up, buddy?" He's like, "You ready to go?" And so here he just won 20 grand at the casino. Um, we went to Brett Favre's restaurant, with the cheese heads and stuff, and it was just always fun.
Yeah.
And I just, the more fun you have, it's easier to win, if you will.
Yeah.
You don't feel pressure, and you just go out and you be you and do what you're good at.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, I mean, again, did all Northeast regionals, Fargo, and I always did Greco and freestyle. I was a 5-time Fargo finalist. I did beat Tony the one year.
Tony
Uh,
Ramos.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, lap pulled him. But
Yeah, I'm sure he was pissed about that.
yeah, and then I wrestled Andrew the one year. We were
Hmm.
roommates
Yep.
at Fargo. I wrestled Dylan the one year. We were roommates. But I whatever it was, I just like to go out and when I look at Fargo, when they the big long brackets,
Yep.
so cool because the one time then you got to take everything into perspective, right? It's just not about winning, it's about the points that you score, the points that you give up.
Yeah.
They used the team points.
Yep.
So I wrestled Ellis Coleman. That was a big name.
Yep.
He always got me in Greco, but I always beat him up in freestyle and folk style. Nasty gut. But the one year I was wrestling him on my side of the bracket, and it was like if I won, I was in the finals. If I lost, knocked out of the tournament.
Mm.
Um, I lost, but it was Greco.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was again just I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so talking about, the freestyle in the off season in like, so I do karate and jujitsu, and and I travel a lot, or have in the past, and something very similar. And I'm sure this resonates with yourself, Josh, and the viewers watching. I don't always remember how I did at at competitions. Now whether I do or did, but I always look forward to the road trips and just bonding. And I know wrestling being such a tight knit community, and you mentioned guys like Tony Ramos and basically superstars like that at the time. Were you tight with a lot of the top wrestlers at the time, like in the nation? Because I feel like Jo seems to be pretty connected with a lot of the top guys. It's kind of his personality. But did you like were you kind of confined like to yourself, or did you like were you able to network and meet like a lot of
Um,
the top guys you feel?
I'm I'm a really personable guy.
Sure.
So I was always cool with everybody, but most of the time I was cutting weight. I mean, there was times where I had to run back from the Fargo Dome to the hotel in 110-degree weather. I'd put my rubber suit on, I'd start running, then I'd walk the rest of the way and lose the weight, and I'd be good. But yeah, I was really close with a lot of those guys, Josh Jeva. I mean, you name all the PA guys. We
Hmm.
all kind of hung together, and Team Buku back when it was probably the best cadet dual team ever.
Yeah.
But when it came to the PA guys, really close knit. Um, we were just all like we'd goof around because we were just so used to winning.
Yeah.
Um, and we'd have to wrestle each other, and then right after that, like we'd all be cool again.
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I'd say yes, but we knew when to flip the switch, and like we needed to focus on ourselves, right, without even talking about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. Is, we knew when we had to get things done for us, and outside of that, we'd be goofballs. You're like, how are these guys even winning? Um, but yeah, it's fun stories. We won't talk about it, but
No, you're good.
yeah, it's good.
No, that's awesome. So you have success, freestyle Greco-Roman in your high school now. So now let's dive into the college days, right? So you get recruited, I'm sure, by quite a few Division I schools. I'm just projecting, I don't know, but I know ultimately you chose Oklahoma State. So for those watching that are kind of in that area, maybe high school or who knows, whatever sport, and you're getting recruited, talk about like what was that like for you, and ultimately why did you choose Oklahoma State?
Well, we'll rewind a little bit. When I was a freshman, my dad, because we didn't have a whole lot of money, but he always made it happen. And
Mhm.
he's like, all right, you either get a full scholarship or you're going to work.
Mm.
I'm like, all right, I got this. I mean, I remember there's one time, I think freshman or sophomore year, but during the summer, one of his buddies, they worked at a tree farm. So I'd be out there with all the Spanish people chopping the trees and stuff. And um, it was a week. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna get a full ride. I'm
Yep.
gonna be so we all have choices to make, and that was one big choice that I'll never forget. That you know, uh, I can do other stuff, but I just wrestling's what I'm good at. It's what I love. Um, so I think it was my junior year, around number one in the country, had one loss, memorable, that changed everything. Cut too much weight too fast, ended up in the hospital, like lungs started collapsing.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, crazy stuff. Um, and then another loss that I had was at my senior year. Um, Iron Man lost in the quarters. Austin Ormsby just didn't cut weight right, didn't get a good warm up, lost, and then beat him for third and fourth, 7-0. Right. So, I always knew where I was, but, again, nobody's perfect. You learn from your mistakes, get better.
Yeah.
Uh, and during the recruiting process, you know, I don't know. I feel like it's way different today, but um, I really never even, like, when I was in high school, I didn't even watch. Maybe there wasn't really flow wrestling and stuff like that. But I didn't really know college wrestling.
Yeah.
I just knew what I loved and what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Like, the Jordan was there. When I was a sophomore, state finals, he was a senior. So he was already at Oklahoma State for 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't follow or watch like all the kids do nowadays, and they just want to talk about everybody else rather than focus on themselves. Um, but yeah, no, I never really was like a big fan of any certain person.
Yeah.
Uh, and doesn't mean I don't love it, because I loved it.
Sure.
But I just love doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I had Penn State. Um, I just knew that for whatever reason from day one, I never liked Iowa. I hate yellow. Um, but
So
no,
maybe it was the color that you didn't like.
yeah, no, I mean, Oklahoma State, one of the biggest reasons why I chose Oklahoma State, besides, I had Jordan was there, good friend, loved the style, everything else. I always wanted to see a tornado, and
Hmm.
I love orange. So um, I know
How were
they're a
you?
big.
Now, were you recruited by Iowa and Penn State that you just mentioned? I would.
Yeah, no, I was really close with Casey Cunningham.
Oh, nice, nice. Yep.
And then who else was it at Illinois? Um, shoot, uh, what's his name?
Hefferman as Coach Heff. No,
No, younger, not younger, but smaller guy.
Perry. Perry. No, not Perry.
No, but anyways, one of those. And then Kevin Dresser,
Yep.
really, really close with those guys. Joe Dubuque,
Hmm.
Chris Ayers.
Yeah. Yep.
So they were all good friends with my dad, and I mean, everybody came in, did workouts, came to the house, and it came down to Ohio State and Oklahoma State. It wasn't really an option about Ohio State, but like,
Yeah.
again, not talking bad on anybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
John Smith come in,
Yeah.
sit down at the dinner table in the house, and he's like, "You come to Oklahoma State, you gonna win." It's like, "You go somewhere else, we gonna find someone, they gonna beat you." I'm like, "Fuck." Yeah. And just kind of like noticing things. And again, I take everything in a positive way, where, when Coach Ryan came by, everything was kind of against Oklahoma State. So I kind of felt like
Yeah.
just kind of pushed away from it. But and I'm not a city guy either. I will go hang out in the city, but I'm not a big, live in the city type guy. But they everybody is great wrestling. I'm sure I would have excelled wherever I went.
Oh yeah.
Um, you
Of
always
course.
look back too, and you're like, man, you always can do more. You can always change little things, but when it comes to giving back, and that's the opportunity that I really love that I have, is everything that maybe I did wrong or could have done better. Um, I can express myself and do it in practices, coaching, relationships, all that. So
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. So you choose Oklahoma State and you have a really good career, right? So if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about just life as a cowboy and just how you got better with wrestling over time. And before you do, I was on Instagram the other day, right? So we talk about social media and just having access to a lot of different resources. But Coach Rob Cole, the coach at Tar Heels, the North Carolina. Sorry, but he made a cool video saying that when you get the high school wrestling versus college, um, so I know you coach, but let's say you're a college coach and you're recruiting, let's say myself, right? The idea isn't to change. how you wrestled when you get to college. It's just to just embellish and make it better. So I'm curious, when you got to Oklahoma State, was there any tweaks or changes that the coaches did to you, or did you still wrestle the way that you did that got you to Oklahoma State?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, you know, my dad kind of had, I always wrestled from the outside, right? And like hands in the mat, misdirections and stuff, low singles, that Oklahoma State's about. But kind of where I changed was like the jab stepping,
Mhm.
right? And I didn't learn it until after college to not put your weight on your toe, right? Because all your weight's on. I remember Coach Esposito, I think, told me, or it was Kenny Monday, one of the two. But I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have known that 5 years ago.
It's
But
always the little things, right?
yeah, that's one thing that I loved about John, man. He'd like help you out and stuff, but he would never like tell his secrets. That did learn a lot, but he always made you figure it out on your own, right? And that's what it's all about. You know, everybody's a little bit different. Um, but the elbows, when someone ties up, rather than try and dig inside nowadays, I prefer to post. And then go from there because I'm not having my head pulled out. You go elbows with eye, you're like, um, so um, overall, you know, I did change a little bit, but I mean, I changed, and it's kind of what it's all about. I changed a little bit when I was at Oklahoma State. When I went to North Carolina with Coleman and Tony and Kenny, learned a little bit more underhooks with Kenny. You know, more physical hands and stuff with Tony and Coleman. When I went up to Jersey with Reese, he taught me how to hand fight a little bit more, and you know, control ties, and you know, so I I learned a lot from everybody, you know, but there is a big difference. Like when I first went there, you know what I mean. I ended up being pulled out of red shirt, you know, in January when they had the national duels. I think it was Luke Silver was in front of me, and you know, I mean, he had some injuries and stuff, but you know, I was very because I loved it and I was persistent, and even though I went there and I was getting the shit kicked out of me when I first got there, I just kept pushing, and you know, I ended up. I remember, I think it was Chris Diaz from Virginia Tech, number 4 in the country.
He's from Delaware. Yep, I know Chris Diaz.
Yeah.
Yep.
When my first match out of red shirt at national duels,
Mhm.
and I'm like, fuck. So I was nervous, and I tripped over my feet. Like imagine that, like coming out of fucking number one in high school at my weight, tripped over my feet and got taken down. Ended up getting in a front headlock and lap pulled him, and won the match. So
Oh, you beat him.
um,
Wow. Nice.
yeah, yeah. I got taken down at first, and then you know, but you know,
Was he a
it's
tough wrestler? Like was he tough? I don't remember.
everybody's tough in college.
Yeah, true
You
that.
know, you see these matches, man, at NCAAs and stuff. Like it's just the tiny little details. You're about to get a takedown. You do one little thing wrong, 1 second, not even a second, and boom, they're out or
Yep.
they're scoring on you. That's why it's so fun. So I wish they would have had more of the like stalling push out rule
Yeah.
when I wrestled because we always were taught to move forward and guys didn't like to wrestle, you know, Cowboys. But, you know, the thing that I preach to high school guys and everything is I did a private this morning and we did a 20-minute go and I just kicked the shit out of the kid. I was kind of upset because you know you got to learn how to fight back. Like
Yeah.
when things get tough, you know I don't care if you try and punch me in the face, whatever, but that shows that you are, you
That
know,
you care. Yeah.
not just gonna take it. You know, and you know when things are always gonna get tough in life, that's how you can relate to everything. And you know it's gonna be tough. I worked with Noah Nottinger when I was in Virginia before I came up here, and when I first started with them, beat the shit out of him all the time. But he's the kind of kid that he'll get mad. He never gets mad. I always made him mad though. But he he'd always fight back. And the more he fought back, he started exposing himself, and I'd fuck him up even more. But he'd fight back. We, over the 2 years that I was there, came in as the 18th seed at the U.S. Open, finished 4th. He's great. Now he's the starter at Virginia Tech this year as a freshman.
Nice.
Looking to, because Henson's redshirting. But, when I talk to him, I'm like, yeah, he's an NCAA champ, finalist, whatever. Next year, when he comes back, he's going to give him the spot. It's about you.
Yeah.
You can be friends off the map, but, and that's, he's my guy. We talk every week. But, that's the biggest thing, is just things are not easy, especially when you get to college. And that's what you got to understand, and are you going to work hard and fight back, or are you just going to be okay with it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Dude, that's awesome. And I love the fact that you shared about, like the story about you kicking the shit out of that guy, and just like you wanted to see some grit out of him, And
yeah. No, I'm putting his head in the mat, put my hands behind my back and like, wow, go get some. Yeah.
I'm curious. So when you were in the practice room with as a cowboy under Coach Smith, did you ever get in like was every day a hard battle, like scraps with your training partners? Even the wrestlers that weren't necessarily on the varsity lineup, because you said like everyone in college is good. I'm curious, is that the same like in a college wrestling room? Just the overall, everyone's there to like win, or is there still kind of like a varsity JV kind of level?
There is levels to it, right? But I would say a lot of times the starters had partners that they liked, that they could work with, right? They kind of be polite about it.
Beat up on?
Not even beat up on, but they would work with you. They loved it. They enjoyed it, right? And they're gonna go hard and make you better, right? That was kind of their role that they liked.
Yeah.
Not that anybody can't start, but you just, when you enjoy something, you do. So, there was also times where, I was going with Daringer, Jordan, Jamal Parks.
Jamal, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, Jamal's a man. I remember when I first got there, like, he wouldn't let me fucking drill on him. We'd be drilling and we weren't drilling.
Why is that? Why?
No, he'd be like, he'd be like a step dick. He wouldn't let me fucking work. And the more that I competed and we went live, and, he'd beat me up, and the more that I would challenge him and stuff, there's more respect gained, right?
Yeah.
And so over time, we were able to drill.
Makes
so
sense.
you just can't sit back and take it, man. But yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. So now let's talk about more towards your last year wrestling. So you make it to the finals, and I know you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, but I went back and watched that match, and man, it was really anyone's game at that point. And I wish, I don't like, I know, like, had you won that match, Josh, do you think that would have been life changing in a sense, or
no? When it comes to that, it's actually funny. You bring that up. So I have this, when someone gets on my ankle, whether it's a single, I put them on my ankle from a wizard and put my knee up, or they just get to my ankle. I have one of the best counters to score, or how I do it anyways. And Coach Smith even had me show it in the room. And I went to do it, but I went to the wrong side in the NCAA finals to get taken down in overtime. If you go to the wrong side, it brings them right up.
Yep.
And it's memorable. but you don't see me crying about it. You know?
Yeah.
That's how, I emphasize on going to the correct side.
Mhm.
So, but no, I don't think it would have changed a whole lot, because guess what? Then there's freestyle after that, trying to make a world team, trying to do more. Um, Now with the NIL, you might get more money, but that wasn't back in the day.
That wasn't a
Uh,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. So, we're back in the room training, but, it's kind of too, not too many people know, but that was my junior year.
Oh, yes, yes.
I tore my hamstring completely off the bone, had surgery.
Yep.
Before NCAA's, I was wrestling with 125 pounders, and my leg would give out and I'd be losing it, freaking the fuck out. And, I made it happen at the NCAA tournament. My senior year, I was the only senior starting. So everybody was young
Hmm.
and, old school Johnny just be running everybody through the ground, and I'd have more injuries and stuff. When I did the All Star Classic, I like partially broke my L4 vertebrae, and just I couldn't stay in my stance long, and just was freaking out and stuff during practice, and had to stop. And then my senior year, I think it was in February, the one kid, I was like behind him on both ankles, and he went to kick away, and he stepped on my balls, and the one blew up the size of a freaking baseball, and I had to get transferred to the OU Medical Center,
Oh
um,
man.
and then I didn't step on the mat for 2 weeks. We had bedlam, and John's like, "All right, let's go." I'll tell you a funny story about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This package in the mail, and it was like icy ice, hot, hot, icy hot. These
Yeah,
three
yeah, yeah.
things, and I just was gullible to the man at the time.
Sure.
Um, so he's like, "Here, put this on there. You'll be all right." And the trainer was sitting there, and Chris anyway, he's like, "I wouldn't do that," and I did it. And I ran to the bathroom. He's like, open. He's like, "Come on, we gotta go." But yeah, man, so it always taught me how I was sick one time. I think after Southern Scuff, when I beat Huda Shout,
Yep.
did the whole cool belly to belly back arch. I think that kind of set me up to be like number one in the country.
Hmm.
And um, I had Brandon Sorensen from Iowa shortly after that, and I had 104-degree fever, was sick as a dog, and he made me go out and wrestle. Now everything's different nowadays.
Yeah.
Everything, you know,
Yeah.
protect your athletes. But for me, I went out and I lost by a point, right? So you could be mad about, going out and wrestling sick, or you could be like, shit, I went out and lost by a point and I was sick. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, it was, everything was great. And then we wrestled Penn State February 18th, I think it was, senior year. Um, and, I was feeling like I was ready to go in a national title. And took the kid down, 50 seconds of riding time. Still to this day, I don't know why everything got changed, but it was the first time Penn State came to Oklahoma State on a raised mat. And it was like, again, 50 seconds of riding time. John and Kale came up. They were talking to the ref. 50 seconds of riding time wiped away. Takedown wiped away.
Hmm.
Um, and it just changed the whole match.
Sure. Yeah,
I can't
absolutely.
even say the last time that Penn State lost a duel, other than to maybe Iowa a little while ago. But we were projected to lose that duel. And second period, I was on top. He had a switch, and I'm flexible, and I get in there, and he locks up a cradle, and his hand was below my knee towards my foot, and when I hit my butt, pop, pop, pop,
Ugh.
re-tore my hamstring, and I got pinned. And just, for better or for worse, it changed the whole outcome of the duel. We ended up winning. Um, you know, and for me, it was tough because I was ready to go win a fucking national title. And the doc was like, "Yeah, you'll be good in May." I'm like, "Well, we got NCAAs in a month." Um, I did not step on the mat the entire month until the NCAA tournament. And if I had to go back and make another choice, I wouldn't have done it because I was not able to compete.
Yeah.
But at the time, just how I am, because I love the sport, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm a senior, gonna go let it fly.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I was just an NCAA finalist the year before, and I remember they went to Big 12s, and he left me back because I already qualified and stuff. And when they were up there, he called me the night before weigh-ins, and I've never heard him like kind of be upset before. And he's
Just
like, "Hey,
Coach
you
Smith.
yeah."
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna have someone drive you up here. You got to make weight. Is your weight okay?" And I'm like, about like 7 over. I can't run. Hamstrings fucked up. And I saunaed, whatever. Got the weight off. Someone drove me up there to weigh in. He even had me warm up that morning to see if I could wrestle. And it wasn't happening. So we went and, rep blew the whistle, shook hands, rep blew the whistle again, just kind of forfeited out, right? There's only 5 teams or so, but I ended up taking 4th because I already started in the semis. And whatever it was, but the NCAA didn't like that. So when I went into the NCAA tournament, regardless, I couldn't really compete at all. But they put me against Habit first match, number 3. Kind of fucked up. I know Strocci did that. Strucky did that the other year where he just forfeited out. They still seeded him and stuff, but people don't like me, I guess. But at the
It's
end
all
of the
politics, bro. You know that.
day, and when you understand that's how it is, and you just got to go do your best, right, or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
It hit different when I went out there and took second year before, and I'd get to legs, but I don't pop, I don't power explosion.
Yeah.
And it hurt, being a senior and not really being able to compete when I could have potentially won it, so but gotta move on.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. I didn't know that. Because I remember seeing those
No, I mean, a
results.
lot of people saw it and were like, probably like, the fuck is this guy doing? Just goes 0-2,
Yeah.
but
I thought
everybody.
I thought that originally, but I don't know, like because I'm a fan of wrestling and I kind of like, consistency. It's like you don't just win or you don't become a finalist and just go 0-2 the next year. Something had to have happened.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
but
yeah, yeah, man, like you said, college wrestling is just so crazy, because you could be and you see it, right? You could be a 4-time state champ in high school and not do shit in college. It's just the
yeah,
nature of the
yeah.
game. And then you have oh, bro, did you know who Kyle Dake was in high school?
He was a lot smaller at the time. Like I know when Team Buku with the cadet team and stuff, he wrestled for New York at the time,
Yep, yep.
but he was like tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But did you know him in high school? Because Tony Ramos was like, no, like Dake became Dake when he got to college.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's true. Like I knew he wrestled for New York, but he was nothing crazy special or anything, and yeah, crazy stuff.
Yep, then he had the career that he did. Um, Man, so now your alma mater, right? The Cowboys, David Taylor at the helm. Like, what was that like when you heard that news that David Taylor was taking over?
I honestly, right, everybody has their own opinion about it, but I think they needed some youth in there. Just not a change necessarily, but just kind of a spark. And I know that those guys, they like to have fun, they like to win, and it's just that kind of with the generation nowadays, with these kids and stuff, you can't like it can't be an old school mentality,
Yeah.
um, where you get tough,
Yeah.
they're different, they'll get tough if they feel like they need to get tough, and if they don't feel like they need to, they're just different, right? So you got to know how to work with the kids and build those relationships, and um, so I think it's really good. I think it's good for them.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just curious what your perspective was because I knew you wrestled Taylor in high school and we're familiar
yeah,
with him. So,
yeah, yeah. It's great, man. He had a lot of success, and it's he's good with the guys, so I think it's
yep.
great.
Yep. So what's next for you, Josh? So I know you're coaching kids, you're like right now in your life, like because I know wrestling's going to be a part of your life for a long time and we kind of corresponded that one day we spoke on the phone and I was telling you like, man, I would love to see you in like a coaching role someday or like at a college coaching role. So what's your like what are your goals coming up? Like what's a 5-year goal for you, Josh?
You know, I when I do privates, when I do practices, I want to just teach, and not just teach, but I want to build that relationship where kids believe. I want them to have success, even though they're going to have failures. I want them to learn and do the right things. And I do believe with where I'm at as a coach that I completely have the potential to be a college coach. I just gotta, I know my worth, and I gotta get paid. You
Yeah,
know, you know, thing there'll be opportunities, and you know, um, I'm looking to see who's gonna reach out. So, uh, you know, I I'm content working with what I'm doing,
yeah.
and where I'm at, and um, you know, things come about, and you know, choices are made, things change in life for the better, and we all have those choices to make, and um, so it's I love wrestling, and I'm never gonna go away. So, um, yeah,
I love it, man. I love it. And that's awesome. And I have no doubt that you'll get picked up by a college at some point, and just sharing the passion and giving back to the sport that's given you so much, man. That's great. Man, Josh, it's been awesome having you on. It was great to hear your insight from the time you started and like your experience in the beginning of not winning early on and then just having that resilience and then I loved hearing about your Fargo stories and just that just that team bond that you mentioned. And there's one thing that you said earlier on, like when you were cutting weight with your friend. Forgive me, I forgot his name because you mentioned a couple people, but you were going through the process together, and that
hmm
definitely does help, and that definitely
yeah. No,
helps
I
in
mean, it
life.
was schoolboys, cadets, juniors. It was me, the Altons, Fleming. Um, I
Fleming,
mean,
that was it. Yep,
Nicky
Fleming.
Roberts, a bunch of guys, man, and we all just, we all had fun winning.
That's cool. Yep. And then we
Yeah.
got a chance to hear about your high school success and then of course into your college. And I love how you really broke down what happened your senior year. And for those that know you and or don't know you and they're kind of have an idea of who you are, just kind of get a chance to listen to like what went down, like and why you didn't get the results that you wanted. But man, just to be a finalist, just to be an All-American at Division 1 is mean how many people can say they've done that, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, so it's cool, dude. So I always let my guests kind of like leave off with this. Who would you like to give thanks to right now? Anyone special in mind that you want to give a shout out to? You don't have to, but I always like to give my guests that opportunity.
I'll tell you the truth. I appreciate all my coaches. Really, my dad built me to where I'm at today. And, if I could have him around, I would.
Yeah.
But, he's really someone I could go to all the time. Got to thank my mom for being there and putting up with me all the time. But, really my coaches, I'm grateful for everything. And, you have your ups and downs, and you just got to move forward and figure it out and do better.
I love it. Yeah. So guys watching, again, this is Josh Kindig, Oklahoma State wrestler, All-American NCAA finalist. So much more to come in the future, man. So Thank
Yeah.
you so much for, giving us the time. And where can people find you on social media if people want to get in touch with you?
I got obviously if you look me up on Facebook, just Josh Kindig, and then it's can you dig it with the little underscore
I love it.
before the IT on Instagram um and TikTok. So yeah.
Very cool. All
Mhm.
right. So, Josh, thank you so much for your time today, bro. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate it.